Well, folks, welcome back. The next story I have for you is about a friend of mine. Actually, he was my buddy IP on a weekend cross country. Pardon me, I'm still dealing with the residual effects of the Chicom virus. Hopefully, one of these days I'll get over it. But at any rate, this one weekend, Jay was on a four-hop cross country, probably two on Friday and two hops on Sunday, returning home. And their first leg took them to Amarillo, Texas. Now, Amarillo was a civilian field at this time. At one time, it had been a SAC base with a beautifully long 13,000, 11,000 foot runway, whatever it was. It was long. So they went over there, shot a few approaches or a couple of approaches, and landed and then taxied in for a gas and go. Once they shut down, they hopped out of the airplane and did a walk around, made sure the aircraft was chalked and grounded, and a fuel truck was coming up. So they went in, get a Coke perhaps, check weather at their next destination, and the flight plan. So now as they're walking out, Jay's impressing upon this kid that he is the pilot in command for the purposes of this ride. And he tells him, he says, now, when you go into these fields like this, oftentimes transients will want to get you started and get you out of their hair. He says, but you're the guy that's responsible for the aircraft, responsible for the flight, and you are in charge. Got that? And the kid says, yes, sir, not a problem. So they do their walk around, hop up in the jet, go through their pre-start checks. The crew chief, transient crew chief, had driven up and hooked up the air cart, the start cart, and everything was good. So Jay just says, now keep in mind, you're the pilot in charge. He says, don't let anybody rush you through anything. The kid says, not a problem, sir. So he looks down, he gives the kid the start signal, and he fires up the first engine. And then he gives them, once that's up online and stabilized, he gives them start up for the second engine, and that starts up. Well, now he gives them the signal to disconnect the air hose. The kid goes back, the crew chief goes back, and when he comes back up front, he's doing this: pull the chocks, run them up, and taxi. And Jay says, "See what I tell you? They're going to want to get you going before you're ready to go." He says, "Just take your time and do your checklist." So the kid looks into his checklist, dives into his checklist here. And he starts with before taxi, canopy defog, cabin temperature, torpedo heat, check. Circuit breakers, check. Anti-G suit test button, test. And he's going through this thing line item by line item. He gets down here, flight trim check. So he looks up and he goes like this to the crew chief. And the crew chief's doing this like this, taxi out. And Jay says, just stay the path. So they do the trim check. And then they do the aileron trim and flight controls. And he gives them a speed brake. So he puts and the kid's going like that. Come on. Well, the pilot, the student pilot, just ignores him until finally he gets through his checklist. And he goes like this. And the crew chief goes, yeah, you dumbass. Jesus. So he goes, he pulls the chocks and marshals them out. So the kid rolls forward a couple feet. Like we did, and then he tests his brakes, he stops and he adds power. So when he comes out, makes a turn around, Jay looks back over his right shoulder and he sees this Toyota pickup truck on fire. And Jay looks at it and what the hell? Well, apparently what this young crew chief had done, he had parked a Toyota pickup truck right behind the exhaust nozzles on the 38 they were flying. And after they started, it was so close that the exhaust set the truck on fire. And the kid didn't notice it until he went back to pull the air hose. So they're taxiing out. Jay looks back and he sees these tiny little flames just flickering along the hood of the pickup truck. And he goes, oh, crap. So they taxi out, take off, and didn't think much about it until Sunday. Now, when we went cross country in those days, we filled out a form, an itinerary form. We didn't deviate from it. I don't know what the big deal was, but it was kind of like verboten for deviating from that silly form, but we didn't do it. So Jay was committed more or less to go back into Amarillo unless weather or airfield closure or something prevented him from doing it. So he goes back into Amarillo, and when they land, they taxi back over to the transient ramp, and Jay notices this pickup truck pushed off the side alongside the fence. Geez, burn out. So Jay goes in and talks to the FBO guy, and he says, what the hell happened to that pickup truck out there? And the guy says, he says, we had a new hire on duty on Friday, and he says the dumbass parked behind the jet instead of off to the side, and when the jet started up, it set the truck on fire. And he says, Jay says, any idea who did it? He says, no, we wouldn't have a clue. He says, the kid that was driving took off. We haven't seen him since, and I doubt if we'll ever find him. And Jay thought to himself, oh crap, did I just dodge a bullet on that one? But anyway, one of the funny things that happened, wasn't so funny to the FBO guy or the pickup truck. Anyway, thanks for stopping by.